What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and in 2024, we've already taken a look at some of the latest and greatest smartphone technology, but what is also interesting is each year we try to take a look at phones that illustrate the benchmark as to how good a phone can be at a very reasonable and value price point. And this is the latest example. It is the brand new POCO phone F6 Pro, and it is a phone that has all of those flagship specs at a price point that you wouldn't exactly expect. And in this video, I'm gonna be talking about it, but also giving one away to you guys. So just make sure you go ahead and drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below as to what your favorite feature is, as well as your Instagram username, as we're going to be contacting the winner directly on Instagram in 2 weeks. But let's just go ahead and get started, and a huge thanks to POCO for sponsoring this video. So POCO Phone as a company is part of Xiaomi, who, as you know, makes some incredible flagship phones. And today's phone is interesting because on paper, it is literally a flagship device. It features a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, a 5000 mAh battery, an AMOLED 120 Hz display, 120 watt fast charging, as well as a 50 megapixel triple camera setup on the back. And all of this comes in a very beautiful design and frame. Inside the box, you get the phone itself, as well as a case, and you also get the 120 watt charger and cable, and so everything is included. From a design standpoint, I would say this is a very comfortable form factor. It is not too large of a device, featuring a 6.67-inch display, but at the same time it is thin and light, but it also has a metal construction along the side that bends around the phone with a flat finish, so very easy to grip. The flat display is of the preference of a lot of people out there, and on the back it is built out of glass and it's available in black and white. If you look closely, it has a bit of like a carbon fiber or shaved glass texture to it that gives it like a crystallization look, and with the matte finish, it does an incredible job of hiding fingerprints and smudges on both the black and white model, and the top is lined with a glass finish around the quad camera element here that includes the sensors and the actual triple camera setup, and it's just a very symmetrical device. So from a design standpoint, very simple, very beautiful, and actually really similar to what the previous generations of POCO phone devices look like, so no major difference there, but I like the small touch to the finish on the back. On the display side of things, this is the display that has an AMOLED technology with a 120 Hz flow refresh rate and a max brightness that goes all the way up to 4000 nits theoretically. On a day-to-day usage, it doesn't reach that max brightness, but if you have HDR content playing, for example, this is a display that has that wide color gamut, a contrast ratio of 5 million to 1, as well as 12-bit color depth and 68 billion colors, and an instant touch sampling rate of 2160 Hz. These are all very impressive specs on a display, and usually for any flagship caliber phone, you expect it to have the high refresh rate as well as max brightness. But I feel like one additional feature that it does have that is usually more attributed to flagship phones that cost a lot more is the fact that it has eye care certification and the ability to dim to very low degrees, and also have the warm color mode on to really protect your eyes when you're using your phone in dark scenarios or specifically at night. I think the display itself is one that really does look good. It isn't the most vibrant and colorful that I've ever seen, but at the same time, it is bright. It still has a good level of punch to it. So if you're enjoying like multimedia or taking a look at the photos that you've taken, I would say you'd be really happy with the screen on this phone. The next aspect is the processing power. It features a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is a 4nm architecture, and paired with the liquid cool technology 4.0 with Ice Loop, it also runs very cool and efficient. And this cooling technology is really going to be noticeable when it comes to gaming on the smartphone itself. Some of the spec options of this phone start at 256 gigs with 12 gigabytes of RAM, and you can choose up to a 16 gigabyte model with 1 terabyte of memory. And really being the flagship spec with the max amount of RAM and memory and all these optimizations, it allows the processor to clock up to its maximum speed and handle any task that you throw at it. It also features Xiaomi's HyperOS interface, and so if you're coming from Xiaomi and their Android experience, you're going to notice all of the similarities when it comes to the actual Android use case here, which offers a good balance of customizability as well as a relatively clean Android experience with your Google apps pre-installed. On top of that though, you also have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, and that is able to get you a full day of battery life while pushing it to its limits. And I think that is like the gold standard for any flagship Android phone nowadays to hit that 5,000 milliamp hour benchmark. Even if the battery life wasn't impressive though, the fact that it is able to fully charge in under 20 minutes is impressive thanks to the 120 watt charging capability and the included charger. So yeah, if you run out of battery, plug it in 20 minutes, you are good to go. And I think that is really impressive here. As for the camera tech, it features a 50 megapixel main camera. With OIS technology and an aperture of f1.6, the main camera does look really good in terms of photo and video, and it also has relatively decent low light performance thanks to the AI algorithms. And in addition to that, you also have an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera and a 2 megapixel macro camera. I would say that that is not as impressive, but with a smartphone that comes in at a budget price point with essentially flagship specs all across the board in other categories, it still has a really solid main camera. And I like the fact that they focused on a really good main camera as opposed to having 3 mediocre cameras, because a lot of times I feel like for a general smartphone user, having one really solid camera for capturing your actual photos is enough, and the other cameras are more so used for utility if you're like sending somebody a photo through chat and messages, or just capturing something for reference as opposed to posting it on your Instagram or your social media. But otherwise, just to sum up the experience here, I would say that it is a really well-rounded phone. And from the beginning of POCO's era, I've always been interested in their devices because they offered smartphones at a really budget price point while trying to challenge the competitor and kind of reinventing what a flagship smartphone means nowadays. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and enter the giveaway because you'll have a chance to win a POCO phone F6 Pro for yourself. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.